this week, Raw was from Liverpool, England. And it pretty much focused entirely on, would Ryback join Team Cena or Team Authority? Ryback initially joined Team Authority. And there were lots of backstage moments of Kane being like, "You just follow our lead," and being like, "I got this," the big guy. And Seth Rollins, "You know, man, just follow our lead, big man, big guy. I got this." And Mark Henry, who's part of Team Authority, be like, and I'm like, wow. So it's everyone talks with Ryback. So main event was Cena Ryback, and it was like their matches when they were pay-per-views a couple years ago. Kind of bland. But all of Team Authority was there, and Team Cena was banned from ringside. So, of course, ends in DQ with Team Authority getting involved, Ryback turning on Team Authority, a few members of Team Cena coming down to attack Team Authority. And then, of course, we end with Dolph Ziggler getting, like, tossed into a couch. And Luke Harper being like, "I'm a team player." And I was like, wow. So we had to see Luke Harper have a bit. Eric Rowan came out during the Tyson Kidd Adam Rose match. Adam Rose, I guess, is going to feud with the Bunny pretty soon. Which has "By the Network" written all over it. So yeah, kind of a hit and miss night. AJ took on Brie Bella with Nikki at ringside. Because, you know, Nikki's the heel now. And, you know, I do like the calling Brie Cinderbella. I like that. I think it works pretty well. Thinking Nikki might become a champion. At this point in time, the belt, sadly, is so devalued. You might as well put it on a Bella. At least then we know it's going to go from Nikki to Nikki feuding with Brie. Otherwise, it's going to be AJ holding the belt until Charlotte gets called up, or Bayley gets called up, or Sasha Banks gets called up, or Becky Lynch, or anybody else that's called up from NXT to actually become a feud for AJ. Because you can't keep on doing Paige and AJ forever. You know, they got good matches, they got good chemistry. If they're not going to be given a 10-15 minute time limit, no one's ever really going to care. So Brie lost to AJ, then Nikki came in and attacked AJ and was like, "You're a loser, Brie. I'm a winner." Alicia Fox had a match against Paige. Of course, Paige, being from England, they're in England. White hot babyface. Their match was decent. You could tell that most of these matches were kind of not the most thought out of matches because they don't have full roster for Raw. Since they're doing the European tour, the roster got split in half. So of course Paige gets the victory after the Rampage. Decent match. It was okay. Yeah, decent match. Worked well. Helped finish off their storyline. Dean Ambrose had a taped segment. Nice promo. Bray Wyatt had a taped segment. Again, nice promo. They're going to have a match at Survivor Series, which Bray needs to win. I'm going to tell you why. Bray has lost or hasn't had a good showing in pretty much every opening contest for a feud. Yes, he beat Kane in a match that was lackluster. He initially lost to Daniel Bryan when it came to the steel cage moment. Yeah, he beat Daniel Bryan at the end match they had at Royal Rumble. When he feuded with Cena, he lost the first match against Cena, won the second one, lost the third one. Same thing with Jericho. You know, he needs to win the first match against Ambrose to solidify himself and have it actually make sense. Mark Henry had a match against Dolph Ziggler, which Ziggler won by DQ because Henry tried to beat him down with a chair, which would then lead to The Big Show joining Team Cena. Cena mentioned that Swagger was going to be part of Team Cena. Swagger then had a match against Seth Rollins where he lost. Not good match. You know, they got some pretty nice chemistry. You know, there's some sloppy picks when trying to go for the ankle lock, but again, nice match. good spots. Ended, of course, with a really nice curb stomp. Really beautifully played out curb stomp. Thought that was right. Next to the one you see Dean Ambrose take or Rob Van Dam, because Rob Van Dam at Head Impact is sick. And the one Lesnar took was a nice looking curb stomp. Old post-match beatdown, so that wrote, swagger out. Sheamus took on Rusev in a return match from their really good match on the network. Another match that was pretty good, I think it's dumb to put a match on the network to sell the network and then give it for free the next week. That's just me. Xavier Wood, it's a New Day promo happened, and he was Consequence Creed, which was an Apollo Creed character. Now he's kind of a James Brown character, but they upped it. Because later on, Kofi Kingston was in a New Day promo, doing the exact same thing. So, I'm assuming probably next week we'll probably have Xavier Woods, Kofi, and I've seen Big E Langston come out, and he already for a while did the Jesse Jackson style voice, so put him in that too. So you're gonna have 3 happy, energetic people who have a congregation when they come down to the ring. I have no idea. I really have no idea. Is it better than when they were called the Speed Force, Super Athletic Friends, or Super Athletic Wrestling Friend Team? Yes, SAWFT. Soft. I think the 3 of them have the potential to be a really interesting sort of group. But they're so afraid to have to be a Nation of Domination gimmick, they're going to probably take it in a direction that might be pretty far the other way, and it can be hard to take seriously. I do think that had they kept the Wyatts as a stable, I do think, smart, a smart group of black athletes taking on the old kind of backwater Southern group could have made for some interesting promos. Because you'd have had good old Southern boys versus kind of had the feel of almost kind of like Southern Baptist sort of black congregation. I think that could have made for some phenomenal promos. And if they wanted to do something Attitude Era-esque, it just writes itself perfectly. So this was an okay episode of Raw. I actually started watching with my buddy at about 8:45, and we caught up pretty quick. Because, Raw shouldn't do 3 hours if you're going to do an hour of recap. It shouldn't. I love watching NXT because it's match, promo. Match, promo. Promo, match. Matches are longer than promos. And as Regal says, this is a show where we fight. We don't complain about stuff. If I'm watching Superstars on the network, I know I'm going to see a decent match, and then a recap of Raw. And then a decent match, and then a recap of the main event. If I'm watching main event, it's going to be good match, recap, good match, recap, and then ending match. I don't see why they figured out how to do it for every other show except for Raw. SmackDown normally is, decent match, promo, decent match, promo, decent match. And someone mentioned my thoughts on Lucha Underground. I've watched the main events. I don't get El Rey. I watched the main events. Mundo Puma and Mundo Puma versus Cortez and I forget the other guy's name. But I love the way that place looks. It has that nice kind of like dirty wrestling venue. It has that grindhousey feel. Of course, being Rodriguez and Mark Burnett. Perfect. When it comes to the announce team, Stryker, forgot how much I miss Stryker because he's talking about the wrestling, little history of the character, and the moves. It's all about the story and what's going on in the ring. Having Vampiro there adds a nice lucha element to it because it doesn't have that feeling like you got someone who actually has a decent amount of background to it. Yeah, they work well because you got a guy who's a technical guy who's talking about the moves, talking about the story, talking about the wrestlers, and the guy who's talking about the mythos, who's talking about the history of lucha by itself, and is bringing more of an edge to the overall way things are being presented. I like the setup. I like some of the hard cameras. The hard camera shot from up top showing the Lucha Underground logo in the center, brilliant. The ring has a nice bang to it. Doesn't sound soft. Certain moves just sound so much louder. You can tell they really worked on getting the perfect acoustics for that. And with the villain group that's got Big Rick, Ezekiel Jackson, having him in the ring, since he's smoking a cigar, it gave it that much more kind of dirty, that little edgier feel to it. I'm thinking, man, if I could see more of this, like they do something. They put the main event on the YouTube channel. I watched on my Roku on the main screen at our house. And it's good. I'm like, man, I want to see more of this. I want to see your intergender tag matches. But I don't want to try to pick up another cable channel because it's currently not available in my area through what we have for cable.